going on, everybody? Adam Neely with Build, Guild, and Refine TV, coming back at you with another episode. Alright, time for another Tuesday Talks. So it's pretty cool, actually. Less than a month ago, we had 49 subscribers. Today, almost 4 weeks exactly, we're up to 240 subscribers. That's good growth. I like that. Let's get to 500 real soon. So thanks for watching. But what I'd like from you is feedback. I'd like you to chime in with some comments and let us know how you'd like to see the channel grow, how you'd like to see it take effect. Some of the things you might like, some of the things you might want to see more of, some of the things you might like to see changed. Let me know, because I love input and I value your input as the viewer, because we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing this for you, for the community, hopefully to try and help others in some ways. So I love feedback. Today's Tuesday Talks is going to be actually about my brain injury, because I've gotten a lot of inquiries lately through emails, through YouTube messages. It's been asked about my experience, and I realized I hadn't gotten into it too much yet. So today I want to let you know about how I got this brain injury. This past December was 2 years. I was working a normal tree trimming job on the ground, trimming up a tree. Show you a couple clips from that. Afterwards, my helper and I got all our clippings into the truck. Now, I had taken one of my antique dump trucks out for the day because I like to take them to certain clients. And it was a 69 Chevy with a Mason body on it. We loaded up all the clippings, and this was one of the first times we had really used it for work. I mean, I had loaded some gravel in it, so we had used the chute before on the tailgate. So we got to the yard where we dump, backed the truck up to a slope, and my helper and I were standing right down the slope. So the truck was up here, and we were standing right here. And as we reached up, we could reach the top of the tailgate. So at the top, you have these two locking pins, and at the bottom, you have two locking hinges. And when you unlock the top, the tailgate hinges down, pivots on these lower hinges. But if you unlock the top, it can also hinge on, if you unlock the bottom pins, you can also hinge it from the top as a chute. So we had done that plenty of times before. We had used it as a chute, but we had never really taken it and dropped the tailgate from the bottom, leaving the bottom pins in, okay? So this time, that's what we were gonna do, so we had to unload all the brush. So my helper's on one side of the truck, and I'm on the other. We're both holding the top of the tailgate. And as he lets go of his upper pin, I have all the weight of the tailgate. And I release my upper pin as he's walking around to the front of the truck to start to dump the bed. And as soon as I let go of my upper pin and slowly took off the pressure to pivot the tailgate down, the entire tailgate came and shifted, because I remember I was on the right corner of it, so the tailgate's here. It came down and shifted and hit me right on the head in this area. So I took the weight of that entire tailgate, because what had happened was my lower pivot pin snapped. Now that piece of metal is about that big around. It's about 1.25 inches in diameter. So it's a substantial piece of metal. So somebody previously who had owned this dump truck had rigged up or welded poorly those pins, and that weld broke. So it was neglect from whoever had done that job, or a piss poor welding job, and they actually hadn't penetrated through the metal, just booger welded it, which means, you know, lots of little welds on top of the metal instead of getting through and melting the metal. So the whole tailgate snaps off the pins, and it's free. It's floating free. Knocks me out. I fall backwards down the pit. And I guess I got knocked out, And my helper, who's also a very good friend of mine, came running down and found me on the ground. I guess kind of shook me. I came to, and apparently I was just bleeding from the head. I don't remember a whole lot of it, but he put me over his shoulder, walked me up to the truck and took me to the hospital. I had plenty of stitches and a nasty hamburger-looking scar. Now, I got to the hospital. Obviously, they gave me the good stuff, put me on some kind of IV, fluids, and did blood work and all this stuff. I had obviously broken the skin. I had a slight fracture in the skull and a slight bruise on the brain from the impact. The tailgate was probably about 380 pounds of steel. That's approximate. And I took all the weight of it coming down on me. And so the doctors and the nurses, and even specialists that I've seen since, everybody said that anybody who's seen that take that kind of an impact has either died from it or been permanently brain damaged. I told them, and I told my wife, that it was because I had such a hard head, right? But I survived the impact, and I'm mostly functioning on a normal rate. And of course, afterwards, I had a severe TBI, traumatic brain injury. I had a concussion, and I had to sit in a dark room for months. I could barely move. I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't open this eye at all. I could only open this eye a little bit. And this whole side of my face, the muscles had, I guess, tensed up from the impact. And it took a long time for this side of my body to release. I've had severe headaches ever since. And for about a year, they were so severe that they were just debilitating. That they would put me on the ground and I just didn't want to move. My wife, 6 kids, everybody stepped up. So I couldn't have gotten through it, any of it, without them. They were there for me in ways that they were there for me in ways that you never, as a provider, as a man, as a husband and a father, you never want to make your family have to be there. And to this day, it's definitely been one of the most trying experiences of my life, but mostly for my family. But my kids, my sons especially, they all stepped up in ways that made them grow, in good ways. And I'm proud of them. So one thing I'm going to try not to, side note, one thing I'm going to try not to hide is that I am an emotional person. I've always been emotional. But since the brain injury, I'm far more in tune with my emotions. And the capacity to feel has also increased. That's good and bad. But I'm so proud of my kids. And I'm so grateful for my wife for this experience. As difficult as it has been. Within 4 months, I pushed myself. My wife drove me to the gym, and I had to wear sunglasses, and I couldn't do anything. I could only do like the machine with no weight, and even that was painful, and it was a struggle. I could barely walk around the track once. So I lost everything. I lost all the muscle I had worked years to put on. I had required a lot of help from family and friends because of this. But over time, I built myself back up. And the doctors and specialists and surgeons have all said the same thing, which is, Adam, you can't stop working out. Because that is what your body knows. And that is one reason why you survived this trauma. Because of working out and already being in a position of physical and even mental health. So I still suffer through a lot of the headaches, and sometimes certain things set it off. One of the reasons I left the music industry is because shortly after the accident, maybe about a year after the accident, I jumped back on stage and I'm holding my guitar getting ready, and as soon as we start playing, the lights from above, the lights flashing in my face, sent me into what they call the photovoltaic seizure. I couldn't even see my guitar. Everything was spinning. It was so painful on this side of my face. Fortunately, I'd been playing for so long that I had to just play by memory. But it was a horrible experience. I passed out quite a few times. Sometimes I get more warning of the pain coming on, and I will pass out. I can sit down and I'm closer to the ground, but other times there's no warning, and I just pass out. And it's painful. I forget words a lot. I forget sayings. I forget, see, I'm forgetting it right now. What are they called? I don't have anybody in the room to help me. I forget sayings, like common sayings that you would use. I forget directions and forget names. I know faces of people I've known for a long time, but I sometimes blank on their name. So living with a TBI has definitely been a struggle. And I search sometimes for gratitude for this experience, because obviously it's hard to have gratitude for an experience that could have killed you, and sometimes you wonder why it didn't kill you. I mean, obviously I have a very clear reason of why it didn't kill me. I have 7 clear reasons of why it didn't kill me. 6 kids and a wife. I'm grateful to be able to still work and provide for my family, obviously. But during that experience, it brought me closer to my Father in heaven. And it gave me even more of a purpose, more of an understanding of why I'm here and why we're all here. And I won't go into too much, but I definitely had very strong experiences during this, very strong spiritual experiences during especially the beginning of this. And then they put me on the pain meds, of course. At one point I'm on 7 different medications. I've been off for a long time and I don't want to get back on because I had such a hard time getting off. Prescription drugs are no joke. They're there for a reason, and they're a blessing, because I couldn't have gotten through the pain without them. But there's no wonder we have an opioid epidemic. And I never drank. I never drank alcohol. I never did drugs. So getting on these prescription medications is like, whoa, this is great. I could live life every day this way. But it's just a horrible way to live, and getting off of them was just a nightmare. But this experience has also made me appreciate life in a different way. So I'm grateful for all of you watching and lending the support and actually sharing your prayers and your thoughts with me already. All right, as small of an audience as we have right now. But in ways, I'm very grateful for this experience. And it's definitely given me a new appreciation on the value of life. Not that I needed it or necessarily wanted it, but it was another experience that had brought me more in tune with life. So if you have any questions about it, or if any of you are living with a TBI and you'd like to just talk about it, if you'd like to get some support, hit me up, let me know. Because I think a lot of us try to keep our experiences quiet. But the only way we can help support each other is if we share our experiences and hope that others will be able to benefit from what we've gone through. Or at least it gives us this relatability with each other. So don't keep your experiences inside, because you never know who needs to hear about it. So there's this Tuesday Talks. I'm Adam Neely with Build, Guild, and Refine TV, coming back at you.